The three words that represent the Absolute, Brahman, are Om Tat Sat. Out of this mantram arose the spiritual wisdom, Brahmanas, the scriptures, Vedas, and self-sacrifice, Yajna. Om Tat Sat. Om, that is the truth. Tat means that. Sat means truth. Om, that's the truth. The first manifestation of the absolute truth takes form as the unspoken sound Om. To repeat it with reflection upon its meaning is an aid. From this practice, all the obstacles disappear and simultaneously dawns knowledge of the inner self.
Today we are going to continue on our study of Sri Patanjali and the Raj Yoga Sutras. Like I said, it's the best psychology I've ever come across, because you think, how? 3,000 years ago, people haven't changed. People haven't changed. Our backdrop has changed. And we have the same basic emotions, the same problems. And today we're going to talk about the obstacles. And these obstacles are relating to our practice. These are the obstacles we sometimes face when we want to practice meditation and we want to do what's best. We want to be in touch with our spirit. But there are obstacles that keep coming up in our lives. So in Sutra 30, of Book 1, Sri Patanjali tells us, look, I'm going to make it easy for you so you know what your obstacles are. If you know, you can watch out for them. If you can watch out for them, you can change them. Keep remembering this. This is really important. If you know what the problem is, then you can change it. How do you change a problem that is lingering forever? And the word is pratipaksha bhavana, but it's going to come. You reverse it. You don't give that thought energy. You just withdraw attachment to that thought. In other words, you stop clinging to that thought. When you cling to a thought, it's like, oh, I'm really angry. I'm really angry. I shouldn't be angry. I'm spiritual. I shouldn't be angry, but I am really angry. Do you see the conversation in the mind? It'll go on forever. It won't stop. I feel guilty. I feel bad. I feel bad. So what you say? Okay, you're angry. Big deal. This happened, made me angry. Now let me think of something beautiful. Let me think of something fun. I don't want to waste the whole day again. I don't want to waste my whole day again. You tell the soul, I don't want to waste another day. Clock is ticking. Life is short. So keep reminding yourself. We keep getting people dying around us all the time. And then for 1 day or 2 days, and we get panicky and want to live well and back to the old patterns again. We don't have time to do the old patterns anymore. And this is what Sri Patanjali is telling us. It's time to break these patterns. But look out for when these patterns happen. And the first thing he lists in this is disease. Dis-ease. When you're not easeful, you're in a dis-ease. Now, disease could be mental, could be physical. So when you're in disease, he says that's when this is the big obstacle for you. Why? Because you can't be in touch with that divine energy, because that divine energy is love. And when you're diseased, you can't feel love. You're like separated from the source. So watch out for dis-ease. And disease of the body, normally, whatever the body is not well, tells you something's going wrong with the mind. Something is going on there. So what do you do? And he tells us later on what to do. But first he lists them. disease. And from disease, you know, how many of you have been really ill? When you're ill, don't you lose kind of like for a long time, or you're miserable for a long time, don't you start to become a little dull? You become dull, you lose heart. You don't have any inspiration. Inspiration dies, especially when you're not well for a long time. When you're depressed for a long time, just like you get to the feeling, I just want to die. That's the feeling. You won't say it because you know you shouldn't say it, but that's what's going on internally. And when that's the feeling, then internally your consciousness will say, what for? Right? And then you fix that what for in your mind, then you become extremely dull. And then when you become extremely dull, what's the next thing that happens? Doubt. Yeah. Doubt. Exactly. You start to doubt everything. I can't do it. I tried everything. This doesn't work. That doesn't work. And then you go, what for? Again, the same question, what for? And then when you have that, you start to be careless in life. You start to be careless. You don't take care of things. You don't take care of yourself like you used to. You start to be careless with things around you. You start to become careless with other people's feelings. Because as you are feeling so diseased and uncomfortable in yourself, all you reflect to others is this feeling of, you know what? I'm not really bothered about you. So you become careless in your speech. You become careless in the way you act. You become careless in everything you do around you. And from that carelessness, the other problem on its own is laziness. Laziness. Buddha said the worst crime in the world is being lazy. And we have the saying, right? An idle mind is what? The devil's workshop. And this is why our motto in the center is live to love, but love to serve. Why? Because when you are serving and thinking that the world, you're important for the world because you have some work to do in the world, you can lift somebody, what does that do? It takes you from the I, me, and mine. It takes you from your mind. Because once you're alone and you're in your mind, that's all you're living with. But when you're out there and you do a kind deed for someone, or you watch somebody suffering, or somebody can't walk and you pick them up, and you bring a glass of coffee for someone when nobody else notices, you know, it makes somebody so happy. It makes you happy. Because it's just an act of kindness because it takes you out of you. The awareness is not just, oh, I need that for me, and not thinking about anybody else. So this is why selfless service is such a healer. When you really don't expect anything in return and you just want to serve for the sake, because it heals you from the worst disease, which is I, me, mine. Can you all repeat it? I, me, mine. And Gurudev used to say it, so many I, me, minds, and the minds will blow up. The minds will blow up. So that is why service is so beautiful, to take you away from I. But if you are living alone, for people I found that are living alone, it's a little difficult. I have seen that throughout my life, you know, because that's all you got. You know, people say if you have children, you have a lot of work, or you have a partner, you have a lot of work. Yes, you may have a lot of work, but you also learn to give a lot. If you can distract yourself with them, you know. Like when my husband passed away, I was really in black place. Who gave me the light? My grandchildren, right? Distraction. They needed, who gave me the light? My daughter. She had a special needs child. She needed me more than my sorrow needed me. Do you see? So you detach from your own sorrow. Are you avoiding it? No. I used to cry. I used to tell people I'm crying because I miss my husband and I'm in a lot of pain. I wasn't avoiding the pain. I was facing it, but I was not dwelling on it. Do you get that? You don't grasp. That's what the Buddhists call grasping the thought. A thought comes. Oh, this is happening to me. And then you go on and on and on. And the more you hold on to the thought, the more it gets ingrained into your character. Remember, it is by your thought that you will do your deed. By your thought, you will speak the word. If you speak the word, you will do the deed. When you do the deed, it will become your character. And if that is your character, it will become your destiny. No, God created that destiny. That because it started from a thought. A thought, then the word. And if you say a word constantly, I remember when my daughter was very young and she went to dance school. Well, I was a dance teacher myself. And I sent her to ballet classes because I was teaching modern jazz. So I said, you need the basics. So she'd go and she'd come home, Mom, I can't do the split. Every day, I can't. And she couldn't. And one day I said, okay, Shawnee, enough. I'm sitting with you in the sitting room. 1 hour till you change the I can't to I can. So, Mom, but I can't. Not allowed. Now let's practice. I can. So we were doing the splits. I couldn't do the splits, but I could see she was very flexible. She could, but she had in her head, I can't. So again and again and again, and guess what? In 1 hour, she kept repeating, I can. Say it louder. It's like, I love my life, right? Mm-hmm. Say it louder. Let your conscious hear you. Let your soul hear you. I can, Mom. I can, Mom. I can, Mom. I did it, Mom. And that was it. Broken. And that's when she saw she could. And that's why that strength, when her special needs daughter was born, you know how much work it is, Michelle, right? And you know, some days it's just so hard. But I can do it. But what drives you? The I can, that knowledge, that love drives you. Okay? So these are the things that, watch out when you get caught in these traps. See where the words are coming out. See where the thought is coming out. And catch it. Don't deny it. Because it's telling you, okay, this is the problem. Okay, this is the problem. I know it. Now, how do I work with it in a positive way, not bringing myself down negatively, but pushing myself up? Remember, Bhagavad Gita, you are your best friend and you are your worst enemy. So there's no punishment. It's you punishing yourself. And the more you talk about that too much, it's now becomes like stone in your body because it's understood that language now. So to break it down is quite difficult, okay? You have to be really, really, really patient with yourself. So laziness, I mean, everybody feels lazy once in a while, right? We get exhausted and we just want to do nothing, you know? And that's okay. When you really feel like that, that's not laziness. That's sometimes your body's telling you just want to rest. And you got to listen to that too. Because I have people on the other spectrum who are, you know, practicing yoga, and they go, oh, Nalanie, I feel so guilty. Why did you feel so guilty? Because I sat and watched TV all day Sunday. Why did you do that? Because I was really tired. So you're really tired, but I needed entertainment. Because that's what you need when you're really lazy and tired. And I said, so, how do you feel on the following day, Monday? So I felt fine, I felt rested, but I felt guilty. Why? You enjoyed your Sunday? I enjoyed my Sunday. Done. Who's scolding you for doing that except yourself? Who's telling you off? You enjoyed your Sunday, right? I enjoyed my Sunday. Did you have a good rest? I did. But isn't that bad? Hello? Do you see what I'm saying? What we do to ourselves, what people do to themselves. No. I said, do you ever do that? They asked me. I said, oh, very often. Really? You take time off like that? Yeah, many evenings after 7:30, I go, Les, I can't do anything more. I'm just going to sit down and watch some documentary or a movie. I just need 40 minutes to shut off from the whole world. And I love it. I have no guilt. And in that time, normally he always chooses the movies. I learned something. I really learned something about the world, especially documentaries. Very interesting, right? So these are the things that, you know, Even though you're lazy, you're doing something beautiful with the mind. So the mind is elevated. That's why Swadhyaya, study of spiritual books, they tell you to do it to uplift your mind. And watching things that uplift you. For me, beautiful images and music do a lot. I love nature, green, beautiful images. So these are the things we do when we are in these frames of mind. We don't fight ourselves. We give ourselves love. We give it medicine. We give medicine for the soul. The mind sometimes can break us apart. So that's when you go to the sea or you go to nature or you be around loving people. For me, I love people. So I love to be around people who are laughing, uplift me, who are kind, I will not be in company of people who aren't. I just won't. It's not judging them. I know they're unkind. Why do I want to do that? I don't want to do that. My life is too short. That's what you want to be. Bless you. That's your life. I don't have to go into that picture. Do you see? None of us need to do that. We can say no. And that's what all the spiritual people taught us, to be deeply humble, but extremely strong. That's the magic we need to find. But every time we're a bit strong, we think we're bad. Many people, when they're strong and they say no, they come back and they feel guilty. But Nalanie, did I hurt this one? I said, no. How? That person has been hurting you for so long, you decide to walk away from it. How are you hurting somebody? It's worse if you go into that company and you don't want that company and you don't like them and they're getting this negative feeling all the time. That's much worse, don't you think? So watch out for these things, okay? So laziness is when you really, really, become what we call tamasic, right? And Gurudev always used to say, look at the word, right? Tamasic. It's sick. Raja, sick. It's sick. But Sat, Vik, it's victory. He was very clever with words. So when the mind is in laziness, which is tamas, you can see it. Really the best thing to do is at that stage is exercise. Because sometimes you can't do it with the mind. Exercise, walk, do a yoga class. It will really help you. Have a yoga nidra. It will help shake you off the tamasic, okay? And the other one he talks about is sensuality. And this is a big one. When people also, this happens to extremely wealthy people too. Sorry, I didn't mean to say it like this, but when they have everything so easily, the ego builds up. They develop an ego. And then they get bored, a little bored, because they want to challenge more. And this is when they go into sensuality as well. I see this with a lot of people. So it's not only because of disease, it's also the other way. They get lazy, they have too much money, they have too much time. Money can buy everything. So they get into really weird stuff, a lot of lust, a lot of weird drugs, weird things, because they're just bored and they just want to be, I want my senses to be pleased all the time, because money can buy everything. Money can buy everything for them. And then they get into this horrible place, and most of them end up really destroyed in the end. There was a documentary lesson I watched the other night exactly on the people who was just made their goal money, and they made so much money that they said they could buy everything, that nothing made them happy anymore, because they could buy everything. So if you think money is going to make you happy, it's great, it's a wonderful instrument, but don't make it your goal in life, because it brings all the other things. You want more and more and more, and it's never enough. Don't feed the addiction. Okay, and then we have false perception. Okay, when you are doubting, when you're in a state of dullness and disease, you don't see things as they really are. Your mind is not clear. You see things from a personal perspective, rather than looking at the whole problem from a distance. And this is why we do meditate, so we can see the problem from a distance. We see it. Sri Patanjali talks about it when he talks about the 5 mental modifications, which we covered in book 1. And he said there are 5 kind of thought patterns. It's right knowledge, misconception, verbal delusion, sleep, and memory. So misconception, verbal delusion. So this is, you start to see things that are not based on truth. And not based on truth, but because you're so wrapped up in your own mind, because it's truthful in your mind, but it's not really true. It's false. There's no substance to it. The only reality there is in yourself. Nobody else sees things the way you are seeing it. Nobody's seeing it the way you're seeing it, but you believe they are. You believe that everything you think is right when it isn't. So you start to make wrong decisions about people, wrong decisions about you, wrong decisions about life, because you're not really seeing the real whole picture. You're only seeing part of the picture. So this is a big problem, and Sri Patanjali talks about it too. Misconception, the famous story about the snake and the rope. You all know that? There's a group of people, they're walking in twilight, and they're all talking, and suddenly they look on the ground and they start screaming and they go, snake, snake, everybody's panicking, everybody is scared, and the neighbor comes out with a torch, snake, where's the snake, and a stick, and he shines his light on the floor, and guess what? It was a rope. And this is what happens with many of us. We think things are so bad. You know, how many times do you go to sleep and you have a problem, and then in the sleep you start waking up and you start panicking and you think, oh my God, what if this happens, and what if that happens, and what if that happens, and you wake up in the morning and nothing happened. It was all false perception. And when you're depressed and down, this happens a lot. It happens in your dream, because Sri Patanjali will say sleep and memory. So in these come up in your dreams, the fears that you have all comes up, and then you get up with panic attacks in the middle of the night, and you get up in the morning and you go, what a waste of time. Right? So I used to do that. That's why I know it so well. And then when I started meditating and working on myself, yeah, if it is, it is. Well, we're smart, 2 arms, 2 feet, we can walk, I can work. I said, I can do lots of things in my life, don't worry. And that I can. You hear the word? I can. I can. And when you say you can, the universe just loves it and makes sure you do it. You do it. You can. I can. What's the big deal? Everybody goes through this kind of thing. And then when I started using the mantra, like I explained, the power of the mantra is amazing. It's just amazing. And I started to use it. And then when the panic attacks used to come, it's reminding me, the mantra is reminding me, go to sleep, mind stuff. And that may take a few minutes, but then the more you do it, mind stuff. When I get up in the morning, nothing's going to be different. It's going to be okay. And then it is okay, you know. And even if it's not so okay, you do manage. And one of the things that I used to practice a lot is I'd go back in my life. Sri Patanjali will talk about it later. And I will see all the worst situations in my life that I thought was so bad that I couldn't cope at that moment. All the tears, all the nervousness, all the frustration. And I look, wow, you did it. Isn't it? Haven't you all done it? Haven't you all passed mountains? How many of you I've seen crying your eyes out in pain? And haven't you done it? Didn't you do it? Didn't you show yourself that you could do it? Wow! Say thank you, God, for giving me the strength. That's what I always do. When I climb a mountain, I go, yay! So blessed to know this. So blessed. And this is the Pratipaksha Bhavana we're going to talk about. Don't only look at the bad, look at the good continuously. Otherwise you will see things from a distorted lens. And it's literally distorted. False perception. Next one he talks about is failure to reach firm ground. Now, when you're practicing all this, all these things. You're trying to get in touch with your higher self. You want to be in touch with God, call it whatever you want. And you seem to get there. You just, it's taking too long. I want to get there. It's a frustration. So you feel, when you come to that stage, use a mantra like, this too shall pass. This too shall pass. I used to always have the image, another image. You keep images and pictures in your mind. So when you go through these hard periods, you know it's okay. You are going to get there. It's just time. It's just time. It's like, when I used to play the piano, go to piano lessons, I remember I played the scale with one hand first. And then when the teacher said, play with the other hand, and it's the other way, and I go, I'll never be able to do this. But then within 3 weeks of practice, I could do the scales with both hands. And then with a year of practice, I could actually play a song, you know. And then I thought, it took me a year just to learn to play this song. And like that, it takes time. This is why Sri Patanjali says, you have to practice for a long time without a break with all your heart, right? And that's what happens. This is the same thing. When you don't reach firm ground, you feel insecure in yourself. And many people, doesn't God love me? No. Wow, God loves everyone. It is. It's the Lord of love. It's in everyone. We came out of it. We don't love ourselves. You know, why are you blocking your road to God? We spoke about it on Saturday, right? We said, hell has 3 gates for self-destruction. Lust, anger, and greed. So these are the hell gates on earth. So watch, know yourself, don't judge yourself. See, once people know themselves, they often judge themselves for their bad qualities. Okay, now that I know this is my bad qualities, do not focus on them. Focus on the positive. And in time, the positive will be so good that the negative will come and lose its force. It will just lose its force. That and the mantra. Use the mantra constantly, because the mantra puts you back. I am not this body. Say it. I'm not this body. I'm not this mind. Immortal self I am. And we say, Asatoma Satgamaya Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya Mrityoma Amritam Gamaya. Lead us from unreal to real. Lead us from darkness to the light. Lead us from the fear of death to the knowledge of immortality. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. This is not real. This is a game. This is earth time. We are on earth time really for a short time. I don't know how I can tell you all this. All these thoughts are normal. But don't let those thoughts overcome you. Remember, the spirit is stronger than the material. Energy is stronger than anything material. That's what happened with the atom bomb, right? Look at the power of atoms. Created such an incredible bomb. Horrible. They used it for the wrong reason. And that's what Einstein was worried about. But energy, we are made up of atoms, divine atoms. And if we just know scientifically we are just those atoms and we fill them with healing good thoughts, anything is possible. Anything is possible. But nobody can do it for us. That's the thing. That's the only thing. Nobody can do it for you. We can share information, but the practice is yours. And then slipping from ground gain. These distractions of the mind stuff are the obstacles. And slipping from ground gain. How many times I've heard this? Nalanie, but just a few months ago, I was so peaceful. I was so peaceful. What happened? happened? How did I fall? And what I have seen is sometimes when people really work on themselves, they really try. Maybe sometimes they try too hard. They don't have fun with it. It's too serious. They take themselves too seriously. And when the practice becomes too serious, it becomes full of judgment. When that happens, they slip from ground game. And that slipping is necessary. Because they go into this dark place, and it's necessary because there are things their soul has to adjust that they're not adjusting. Maybe the practice is too forced, it's too artificial, it's not deep enough. So, when we're in pain and drowning, it's when you go, help, right? And that's when the help comes. Ask and you shall receive. Seek and you shall find. Knock and the door will be open to you. So this is the dark place that people fall to, because maybe the practice is not, it just needs fine-tuning. And I see that. They slip from ground, and I don't worry. It's just that you need fine-tuning. So let's see, how are you going to change your practices? Don't laugh, you're too serious. I'll laugh a little bit more, lighten up. Okay, and they will tell me, I take things too personally. Why? Here today, gone tomorrow. Do you remember what we used to say as kids, the song? Sticks and stones may break my bones, but names will never hurt me. Yes. They know it well. I hope you know that one too. They know it well. Yeah, isn't it true? And when people would insult me, because especially in Hong Kong, they used to say Molocha Indian, because I had dark skin, and that was really rude. And I would sing that song walking home from school and ignoring it. Sticks and stones will break my bones, but words will never hurt me. And I thank my nuns, because I used to go to a Catholic school, and I went to a great school. And I loved my nuns. I called them the singing nuns, because they were always singing, One of the songs was, Lord, I am blind, the road I cannot find, help me to know the way. And I would love singing that with them in the chapel in the morning, and Spirit of God in the clear running water, blowing to safety the trees on the hill. Spirit of God in the finger of morning, fill this earth, bring it to birth, and blow where you will. Blow, blow, blow till I be but the breath of the Spirit blowing in me. It's beautiful, isn't it? The breath of the Spirit blowing in me. So these are these songs you sing when you go to these dark places. Singing for me is one of the most incredible things, and if you have gifted with a voice, how lucky, because I'm not, and I still sing, and he hears me singing in the shower. As I done now, because I just do, because it makes me so happy. Because it's the words, right? They get into your heart. They get into your heart. Sometimes you're trying so hard with the mind, it can't do it. So this is how you get out of, when you fall, realize that, you're blind at this. Lord, I'm blind, the road I cannot find. Help me. Help me get through this. Just help me get through this where I don't hurt anybody on the process, if I can. But help me get through this. And you will get help. You will, and you will come back. You will. Just be patient. Time. Another trick I use, and I really advise you to do this, for example, when my husband passed away and the pain was so horrible, I would tell myself, in 3 months, I'll feel better. 3 months came. In 6 months, I'll feel better. In 1 year, at least I don't have to go through the first Christmas will be over. Do you know? You tell yourself that, and because you're telling yourself that, it's like you get a force inside you helping you get through this period. And at that time, all the angels came to help me. Who are the angels? The Sangha members. So kind, so kind. Sitting in a room with kind people was the only thing I could do. And that's how you get out of these things. And Sri Patanjali tells us these things later on. Now, because I had read these sutras for so many years prior to the greatest suffering of my life, it gave me all the tools to know that I would get through this. And I really owe it to this and the Bhagavad Gita and the Upanishads. Those three things, whoa. All the study, Swadhyaya, saved me. Okay, so that's why I love to teach it. I hope if any sorrow befalls you, you get the strength from these sutras. These sutras will save you from a lot of suffering. Pain we have to go through, but we don't have to suffer it so much. So, and he says, these distractions of the mind stuff. See, it doesn't say it's you. Nothing to do with you, it's to do with your thoughts. They all happen in here, nothing to do with you. And these are the distractions. So, and then he says, how do you recognize when these things happen to you? How do you recognize it? Look at this. Accompaniments to the mental distractions include distress, despair, trembling of the body, and disturbed breathing. What has Sri Patanjali described in modern language today?
Panic attacks.
What? Sorry?
Panic attacks. Panic attacks. Anxiety, stress. Again, accompaniments to the mental distractions include distress, despair, trembling of the body, and disturbed breathing. When that starts to happen, no, something in there is not going right. Some mental distraction, because that's the body is telling you. This is the signs of the body. So when you start to feel the anxiety coming, right, up again, okay, now what's going on in my life and what am I fearing? It will come from fear, okay? Some kind of fear, disease, dullness, whatever it is, but something based on this, it's a fear. And then, okay, before it gets worse, because if you don't attend to it immediately, it will get worse. It's like if you cut yourself, you got a deep cut, and you don't attend to it, you don't clean it, and then it can get infected really, really badly, right? Same thing. You need to deal with it quite quickly. So when you recognize these signs, either go and get some help, or do some yoga nidra to get the body to relax again. And then again, the same thing, listen to the music, say, I'm just going through some kind of fear in my life. I'm feeling a little insecure. I've been knocked off my balance. It's okay. I'll get back on. Take a deep breath. This too shall pass. Breathe. Breathe. And then Sri Patanjali tells us what else to do in the next few sutras. What to do. How do you overcome these things? And the next one, he says, another thing you can do, he says, the practice of concentration on a single subject or the use of one technique is the best way to prevent the obstacles and their accompaniments. So he's talking about prevention here. Prevention is better than cure. And this is why we use dharana. We talked about dharana. Dharana is what? Concentration. Choose something to concentrate on that elevates your mind. And we talk about mantra. Why? Because mantra is neutral, but it has a life force in it. It has a life force in it. So use something and focus and focus and focus. Or if you're, for example, you decided to, okay, I'm going to do swadhyaya. I'm going to study a spiritual book to get out of it. Then you, for example, if you choose Sri Patanjali, then you stick to it. You stick to it. Okay, I've read this about disease, dullness, doubt. What does he advise me? Stick to it. Stick to it. Because he says the best way is to stick to one technique. You see, what happens to people, and this is what's happening today, they have a problem, and now there's so much out on YouTube, which is wonderful. And I tell you, there's some brilliant things, brilliant people, brilliant speakers, absolutely incredible. And it's wonderful. But what happens is they listen to one speaker say something really quite dynamic. They come and they tell me, oh, I heard this, brilliant. Did it help you? Yes. Next week, they hear another one. Totally different technique. Totally different from what they were practicing the week before. And I go, but if this is working, stick to that. Because you keep changing. And when you keep changing the mind, more thoughts. It just got settled and you confused it again. It just got settled and you confused it again. It's the mind. We're trying to make less thoughts, not more. Less. You want it simple. Keep it simple. Stick to one technique. A master always said, if you have 9 taps in the house and all of them are on, you get little water, right? Little water. You get water, but little from each. But if you close off 8 and open one, what will the pressure be? Be strong. So when we give away our power to so many different techniques, we get a little confused. The mind goes in many places. Stick to one. Keep it simple. If something works for you, keep it. Don't change it. Why do you want to change something if it's working? So, and I notice in my life, this really helped me a lot, because I remember in the early years, you know, when I would go traveling and there'd be a lot of speakers about, people say, oh, do you want to see this one and that one? I mean, it wasn't that I didn't want to see them and I didn't want to talk to them, but I found my master. I found Swami Satchidananda. He was alive then. And everything he said made sense to me. Because I tried a couple of teachers after that, and already with 3, I could see there was confusion. Don't want to confuse. With Swamiji, with Gurudev, there was no confusion. For me, I'm talking for myself. I know myself, and I know if something works, it works. If you change too many times, too many thoughts, all right? You stick to one technique, one thing, and I've stuck to the same technique for so long now, and it works. So why change it? Why change it? Yes, you can add on to it. If you like for fun, try something else with this, and your breathing technique, and you this, and you that. You add on, but keep the base. And my base was, truth is one path so many. Anybody who tries to tell me there's only one way, I run a mile. Or anybody says, follow me, I know better than everybody else, I run a mile. Because I think everybody knows everything if we just spend time to know it. The most important thing of all, we just spend time with ourselves. The answers come to us, you know, and I truly believe that. I really do. So follow your soul, follow your heart. It talks to you. Every day it talks to you. And all these obstacles come only because the soul just wants to get close to its divine source. That's all it wants. And anything that takes you away from it hurts you. Doesn't hurt anybody else. Your distress, your despair, your anxiety hurts you. And it doesn't want that anymore. It wants to be free. And then, and I think we'll stop here, because the next one, he says, where will all this disease, dullness, doubt, and all these thoughts come? It's in the next one, which is 33, which actually Gurudev labeled as the 4 locks and 4 keys. And that is basically, many of these thoughts or this mind stuff comes to us through the people we meet in our life, outside our life. Mm-hmm. It comes from the outer source. So we need to know how to deal with these people in our lives. Because if we don't deal with them the right way, we will end up with a lot of mind stuff ourselves and get disturbed. So that's the next one, which is by cultivating attitudes of friendliness toward the happy, compassion for the unhappy, delight in the virtuous, and disregard towards the wicked. The mind stuff retains its undisturbed calmness. And then the next one after that, you see, all that calm is retained by the control of the exhalation and inhalation of the breath. Pranayama. Breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out. Let it go, let it go, let it go. All the concentration on subtle sense perceptions can cause steadiness of mind, right? Just remember, like I said, I'd remember those moments when we had these subtle sense perceptions. What do they mean? When you have a vision sometimes, or you get a dream that is so beautiful. Yes, to stay grounded in that knowledge of the real and not the unreal, right? The real is there. It's really there. And when you touch it, you feel it. You get excited. Wow, what's going to happen when we die? You see, not scary anymore. It's not scary anymore. That fear of death is not there anymore. But what you want to do is you want to live this completely, because we came here to fulfill certain things. But the mind stuff stops us from fulfilling those things. So we just got to I got to get over myself. That's what I used to say. Get over yourself, Nalanie. Get over the nonsense. Stop the nonsense. You know, it's quite harsh to myself, but it really helped me. So I said, don't be so silly, Nalanie. Don't take it seriously. You know, it's all a joke. It's all God's plan. It's all God's plan. And, you know, always remember, what is your intention? What is your intention? Keep the intention pure, and you'll be looked after. Intention, not to cause harm to anyone, some benefit to someone, yourself included. Perfect action. If you don't include yourself, there's a missing gap. Because you're part of God too. So if you don't respect yourself, forget it.